Now, when we talk about the intertestamental, what actually comes to your mind? Now, in between every phases, in between every positioning, there is always a silent moment. Now, we're going to talk about the intertestamental in this video. If you have not yet subscribed, do well to subscribe and hit that notification bell because there are important updates that is going to come your way. Let's jump right into this video. Now, the intertestamental period, for many, it can be referred to as the silent age of the scripture, and for others, it can be referred to in between the testament, or a period whereby God stops speaking. Now, did God actually stop speaking during that period of the intertestamental? Now, most of the times, a lot of scholars have come up with several ideologies, several observations as regard the intertestamental period, but somehow I've managed to do my research and I've managed to really observe that the intertestamental period became a period whereby there was not really an absolute silence, but there was God was not majorly interested, or God was not majorly raising prophets at that period. Because if you understand, that is a 400-year period whereby many could refer to as God stopped speaking. But God majorly stopped raising prophets, and there were some people majorly that were not used. And if you observe, that was the period whereby certain books came up. The book like the Maccabees, the book like, there are some books that actually came up towards that period, because in between that period of the intertestament, of the scripture rather, is known as the intertestamental, and that is the silent age of the scripture. And in between that, there were events that played out. A lot of people do not know that there were events that actually played out between the Old and the New Testament. All right, there were actually events, there were happenings, and those happenings most often were historical rather than they were prophetic. Most often, those happenings, they were as regard events, they were as regards, oh, maybe as a result of times, we are not really seeing the dominance as regards God, because there were prophets that prophesied before those periods, and those prophets, we observe that they were prophesying the coming of the Messiah. So the intertestamental period became like a middle age between the Old Testament and the New Testament, and that's really, it fostered a lot of things and the coming of the Messiah.